The person came in and was tested and had chlamydia in their ear. Their partner likes to penetrate their ear. Welcome to another special episode of Off Air with our friends Durex, and we're letting you say it with your chest. But before we get into that, my name is Gbemi.
I'm Toolz.
And we have a friend of the house, Oloricoitus. She was with us during the pandemic. I think it was 2021. Yes, but now we have her in the flesh and we have a lot to discuss because today's topic is Kinks Fantasies and the Nigerian bedroom. Gang. Very spicy indeed.
You said kinks, I was just thinking whips and what else, and chains and all of that stuff. But kinks and fantasies are deeper than that. Mm-hmm. And everybody has a kink or a fantasy, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think we should define.
Yeah.
Right?
Very good. What is a kink? What is a fantasy?
When people think about kinks, like you said, they think about the extremes, like whips and BDSM and but it could be something as little as some people have like a pain pleasure kink. You know, there's a thin line between pain and pleasure. So you might just like a little elevated pain that translates into pleasure, but it could just be like a temperature kink, even where you like, you know, the cold sensation heightened. It's just really exploring the depths of pleasure.
So they're regular kinks.
Labeling them. Let's not be labeling them and making them pathological. It's just, I like to just say, what are your preferences?
What do you like?
What do you like?
I think that's actually fair. What are your preferences? What do you like? What do you not like? And then let's delve into fantasies.
A lot of times fantasies are not necessarily things that will come into play, but it's letting your imagination run wild. You know, you read the Mills and Boons and the romance novels in the past, and you're
freaking
just
scam, by the way.
Those were scams, to be honest. You know, and then they say her bread caught. Lie. And you know, he looked at her darkly, and then now you're like, what is?
How do you look at somebody darkly?
Yeah, but I mean, the idea is just, you know, letting your imagination run wild.
Yeah.
And I think it's very healthy to have fantasies and to have kinks, and just, it doesn't necessarily mean that what you're experiencing now is not sufficient or pleasurable enough for you. It's just your mind going there.
Although I know somebody. Oh, I've started.
Hey, talk it.
Oh, Barry.
So I know somebody that had a fantasy about doing it on the third mainland bridge.
It's you.
It wasn't me.
It's always I know a friend. It's you.
I can promise you.
But,
so somebody, some content creator can be like,
mainland bridge.
Look at this bum. Look at this bum. No way. Anyway, so it was in a car. So they were in the car, and obviously the driver was there and whatever. So this person just kind of just said everybody should get out, and they just, you know, on the bridge.
And they did it.
and they told the and then they called the driver back.
Yes.
I love it for them.
But the car will be smelling of Badusi.
Listen, if you've ever been in a taxi or whatever,
And
there's a
you haven't
good chance that the driver probably did that in his car.
But they said that once you do it in a car, that car will never be okay again.
That's not true.
It's a urban
It's an urban
legend.
myth.
Yeah,
It's an
let's
urban
put it that way.
Okay, let us move on. Let's just talk about Nigerian people in general. Do you think that Nigerians are actually conservative about sex, or they pretend, or they just keep quiet?
You know what? I like to think we're like performative conservatives.
Thank you.
So in public, we're conservative. You know, religion, tradition, all that good stuff. You know, shame. You know, what will people think? So we are very, very conservative. But in private, I mean, think of our population.
Yes.
How are we the most populous black nation in the world? I think
Children
they
are
said
not
one
falling
in
from the
three.
sky
They say
now.
1 in 3 black people is Nigerian.
Oh,
Nigeria.
in the world. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
and think about our land size versus our population, right? How did we get there? We're freaky people.
Yep.
We like, I mean, if you just
No,
looking at
she said
looking
we're
at
freaky
my, no,
people.
seriously, looking at my DMs alone and what people say and how people approach me, you will know that like we like sex, we enjoy having sex. I mean, Kaimata is a massive industry in this country. All the people that are selling not just kind of aphrodisiacs and
Toys.
enhancers, toys, even all the drinks and all the different concoctions that people drink, right? They're massive. It's a massive industry, and people are buying, people are cashing out a lot, and they wouldn't do that if we were not if we didn't
sex.
care
Okay.
about having sex.
Back to what you said, I've always kind of had this theory that a lot of Nigerians are closeted pervs. Let's just say like a random video goes viral of some kind of, sex thing. And you have a lot of people talking about it, a lot of people saying this is horrible. Can you see what they did in the video? But they watched the video.
But one of
they
our
watched the
most
video.
Do you remember the video? Do you remember the video about the videos with the man in, is it Tanzania?
Is it the one that was sleeping with everybody?
The one that was sleeping with everybody's husband.
The lawmaker.
The lawmakers.
Yo,
There was
people
wives
were
and
looking
wives.
for those
People
videos.
had those. That's the thing. Nigeria, one of our top search is porn.
Yeah,
Of course,
I heard.
of course.
By the way, people are reaching out to her because she is a licensed sex therapist, intimacy coach. Do you think that a lot of people are comfortable with talking with their partners about their kinks or their fantasies? And I'm sure people have come to you to say, I want this, but I don't know how to say this to my partner.
You would have people come and say, oh, I want to try this, but I'm concerned about, being judged. Because especially for women, right? Sex comes with a lot of judgment. If I say, oh, I would like to try this, and my partner goes, where did you get that from? Where are you learning? Where have you been? What have you been doing? There's a lot of that. And it's that, again, it's the idea of the public conservatism where you're still trying to keep up this appearance of, I'm a good girl. And I'm like, you've taken off your clothes for this person.
They have
They
your
have
nakedness.
seen you finish.
They have seen your nakedness.
Like somebody thinks you're safe enough for them to share this very intimate, private thoughts and wishes that they have. I think it's important for you to now remember that, oh, this person takes me as a safe space, so how do I react? Because the way you react to it says a lot about and spells a lot for your relationship, not just sex, but going forward. Because intimacy is not just about physical intimacy, right? It's about emotional intimacy.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like this person I'm safe with this person.
Able to share with
You're
this
able to
person.
share with this person. So if I can't even bring the sex things I want, if I have a body to vary, can I come to you with it?
Do you also feel that this also has to do with insecurity? So let's say you have a couple, right? And the wife she's maybe read Mills and Boone, or she's read something and she's like, oh, I'd like to try this. And she brings it to her husband. And he's just like, what? Do you sometimes find that sometimes the man is sort of feeling a bit insecure about, wait, so what I've been doing hasn't been enough for you, blah, 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 blah.
You know what? You're very correct about that. And I think even it applies both ways. Again, I think it's also how the person who's suggested brings it up.
Okay.
If I'm bringing it up and saying, look, we're not having enough sex, or the sex we're having is not spicy enough, it's just not doing it for me, that is going to put you, the receiver,
On the
defensive. And you're going to be like, are you trying to stay? As opposed to, hey, we've been having really good sex. I really like it when we connect. Like, I really love it, like, when we're having, the one we had, like, the other day was mad, wasn't it? So imagine if we just added, like, a little bit more
Guys,
to
take
it.
notes.
So you're doing like the positive reinforcement, and it's like sandwiching,
It's
right?
a sandwich. It's a compliment sandwich.
So you start. It's a compliment sandwich the same
good
way.
food, yeah.
You do it also when like your clothes are not off, you're not about to have sex, or you just had sex. So it's not like you're doing like a postmortem on how it was.
I was going to say it's like a performance review.
No, we're not doing a performance review. We're literally like gisting. We're sitting on the couch watching a movie. We're gisting on the phone. We're texting. Like at a time when there's no performance anxiety, and you're just like, so you talk about what was good, right? Then you sandwich. Oh, but you know what I would love? It's not a me against you thing. It's now like a
Us.
Or what do you
it's
think
a
about
us versus
us trying to have better sex.
Yeah, us versus the goal, right? Oh, what do you think about us trying this, right? So now it's like us exploring together.
What happens when one person, like you said, one person has suggested this thing and the other partner is like, oh no, magic, God forbid. They don't do that in my church.
So I think it's also important to, do like an analysis. You guys, keep the conversation open. There's some things that would just never appeal to someone, no matter how you slice it, dice it. And it's just like food, right? There's some types of food that no matter how appetizing you make it look, I would never touch it. You need to kind of explore why. Is it like a religious thing? Is it because they said? Or is it because, look, I've deeped it, I've tried to think about it, and I've analyzed it a little, and I'm like, no, you know what, this is not for me. Okay, you know what, I'm willing to try a little, maybe. And then, it's like in the middle of it, you're like, hey, listen, Kojo, It's just not it.
Do you know what's so interesting? Quite often we hear this whole, good girl thing, and you find that there's certain men that want to end up with that good girl, the one that's like, maybe she's only had like maybe one partner or something, but then in terms of what they now enjoy in the bedroom,
they want the person to be
is
wild.
not good girl, quote unquote, good girl compatible.
Have you heard of this Madonna horror complex?
Yes, we spoke about that. There was, I think I remember talking about it. There was a film that I saw, and this guy was like, there's certain things that my wife cannot do that because she's the mother of my children, her mouth, blah, 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 blah. But he enjoys it and he gets it from other people.
Outside. Yeah. And so it's this dichotomy of like, this is what I want, but I put my partner, my wife, my woman on this pedestal. So it's helping them also put the two together and understand that, yes, this is your wife, but your wife can also get down. She can also be freaky, and this is the place where you should be able to have all of that put together. So you're not going outside and doing...
Because low key, if you're spending like your life with somebody, you better get ready to like flip it, reverse it, try different things.
Like we had people ask questions, sending questions before we started this episode. Somebody said, I want to explore, but I am scared of pregnancy, infections, and judgment. So people are going to judge you regardless. I'm not saying that you should sleep with everybody under the sun, but I'm just saying people are going to judge you regardless.
Usually a lot of the judgment even starts from within. But in terms of infection and pregnancy, first is before you get down with anyone, make sure you get tested. I think we don't test enough here. We don't consider it, like we think that it's a big deal. It's only when you want to get married that you go and get tested.
Or the one that I love, she looks clean. He looks clean.
God.
Hey,
remember there was a whole thing the way people would say HIV, they show for face.
Yes, the 90s, I remember.
Yeah, and it's still a thing because you look at someone, you're like, oh, they could never. Even the person does not know that many people are going around with infections that they don't even have any symptoms for. They're asymptomatic, so they don't know.
Completely agree. And we have like pretty high rates of HIV.
Oh, but not just HIV, but
and
so many other diseases, chlamydia, all of that. Use a condom.
Yes, absolutely.
And even sometimes, and I even say this, like, even so you get tested, but remember that, like, that test is only for today. Like for something like HIV, for example, in 3 months it can show up. For other diseases, this person is sleeping with anybody else apart from you, and you're not sure where they're going. Stay and use a condom, right? And make sure that like you are protecting yourself. And
there was this conversation about birth control a while back, and people were just really talking about the pros and cons. But I was just like, okay, fine, everybody's worried about pregnancy, but are you still practicing safe sex?
I don't know why people don't talk about condoms as much.
See,
especially married couples, like people feel like, oh, I'm married,
so I don't have to.
So I won't use condoms. Like
in
condoms
this
are for
economy,
unmarried.
you want to be having like 6-7 children. What's your income? So imagine being a married couple, you have the number of children you want, and you are still not trying to protect yourself against having more children. Okay, now
and also choosing when. Sometimes it's not even about the number. It's about like, how do you want to space them? Do you want your kids
family planning
back to back? That's why it's planning.
So let's go back to the Kinks Fantasies, because I think that a lot of women in particular don't feel like this is something that they should, number one, talk about, and number two, talk to their partner about. And I feel that sometimes a lot of women in this country are conditioned to just accept whatever sex is given to them. How do you get more women to explore, think about what they like in the bedroom, think about their kinks? If I was still very, very new in this whole, sex game, how do I find out what my kinks are?
I think it's important to just, first of all, find out what your pleasure is, and not just sexually, by the way. And because that usually ties into it. Are you someone, like, what gives you pleasure? What do you enjoy?
Money.
But tools.
Yes,
outside
now.
of money.
It's a pleasure.
Maybe you would then like a money ring, take your clothes off. And that could be your fantasy.
That might be my fantasy.
Listen,
like $100,000 in cash raining upon me. Hey God.
You could be someone that likes like temperatures, like the extreme temperature play. You could be someone that likes a little bit of pain. You could be someone that is like, okay, what smells. Maybe
you have your candles,
setting the mood.
We're trying to be non-judgmental.
And
what's been the most interesting?
Yeah, we're not kink shaming.
You have heard of, maybe one of your clients discussed,
or unusual.
Unusual, yes, and fantasy as well.
Besides being a sex therapist, I'm a sexual and reproductive health educator.
Okay.
So I've worked in HIV and sexual and reproductive health, and that's actually the core of my work.
Yeah.
I used to work in the health department when I lived in the US. The person came in was tested and had chlamydia in their ear. In their ear.
So I'm imagining my mind.
So their partner likes to penetrate their attempt, really, because you can't really attempt to penetrate their ear.
That's deep.
Listen, I've heard all sorts. We touched on this during the conversation. But what are practical steps? I think for a lot of people, the big thing is shame. So somebody had sent us a question, and the person said, I want to try new things, but I don't want my partner to think I'm wayward. Please. So how do you tell someone to reassure their partner that they are not wayward?
That's what your partner. And I mean this in the best sense. Like, if someone thinks I'm wayward, I don't have control over, because it's how they were raised, their mindset, and their view of the world.
Yeah, I remember I reading something where some tweets where some girls were like, oh, that when they're with a new partner, they try to hold back and not bring out all their quote unquote tricks. So the person will not look at them like,
And that is valued, especially in the Nigerian context, because you also don't want, next thing you know, you're on Twitter and then someone is like, let me tell you about this babe I dated.
Or do storyline on TikTok.
Or story time. Also, please choose partners that are kind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Choose someone that actually likes you. I
Don't
think
just
a lot of times people say, I like you. No, they
like the
idea of you. They're enamored by you. You're fine. You're this. But do they like you as a person? How do they treat you as a person? So it's about having emotional security first. Before you're taking your clothes off for anyone, have that emotional security. This is someone I can be safe with. Because when you're able to be safe with them, that's when you can actually say, oh, I would like this, I would like that. And even if the person is like, oh, that's not my vibe, they're not judging you. They're just like, I can't do that too. It's not for me. Where did you get that?
But they're not telling you that you're going to hell.
You're going to hell. Who raised you? Where did you come from? What did you learn?
On the flip side, I know that there's some, guys that are probably thinking, oh, I want to try things, but, my girlfriend's a bit, I don't know, shy, conservative. She's this. I feel like if you can get her, because you said there's some very important things that you said. You said the person has to feel safe with you, has to feel comfortable. I reckon that if you can get to a certain level, this is for the guys, where your partner feels safe, your partner feels comfortable, you can unlock some level of freakiness that you could only imagine.
100%.
Yes.
100%. Especially and when you're true and you say what you mean and mean what you say, and she doesn't feel like, this guy is wayward or he's for the streets. And I'm just saying, because a lot of when people think that men like sex more than women do, it's not true.
I always chuckle, but
women. If you ask women, liking sex comes with, we've talked about shame, pregnancy, infection, all these things. If you ask a woman, take all of these things out of the picture, and then you ask them, would they yes, they would. The consequences for women are way greater. Yes. That's why you would see us start taking a step back and and wondering. So if you can remove all these things for a woman, trust me,
and this is why it's best to just, I guess, have a good relationship, be friends before jumping into bed. You've jumped into bed with this person, you don't even know. I mean, we're not trying to judge anybody, but you don't even know the person, you don't even know their last name, you don't know anything. But I just feel be friends. I'm not saying, and this is not just for people who are getting married, just be friends with this person. Make sure you actually like this person. As if sex was off the table, would you interact with this person? And I feel like when you're comfortable with this person, you're friends with this person, you have a good relationship, you're able to communicate better.
All right, so before we wrap up, we're quickly going to go through some myth busters, and we're going to get you to help us out. Okay, so true or false, kinks mean trauma?
No, not always. Yeah, sometimes people walk through their trauma with kinks, but kinks could just be what you enjoy.
Okay. Talking about sex kills the mood. True or false?
False. Communication is lubrication.
I love it. It should be on a t-shirt.
It should.
Communication is lubrication.
It's lubrication. Like that. It's actually what is going to get you in the mood. Like if talking about it has become a mood killer, then you shouldn't be there at all.
I think there's also a time and place for everything, like you explained earlier on. Yeah. Okay. One more.
One more. If you ask for more, you're ungrateful.
Ask and you shall receive. Of course, there's a thin line between contentment and exploring, greed. But you wanting more does not mean what you have is not good. It just means that you would like more.
So our friends at Durex have a range of products that basically cut across different needs. And there is a personal care lubricant, and it's the Durex Tingling that helps to enhance the sexual experience.
For basic confidence, there is the reliable and assured protection Extra Safe, delivering effective protection and no breakage. I already got 5 kids. I don't want more. All right, that one's slightly thicker with extra lubrication for those who want the ultimate reassurance. And of course, just because you want the peace of mind that comes with extra reassurance doesn't mean that you want to sacrifice comfort. And with the Extra Safe, you absolutely don't have to.
And then if you're looking for feeling and intimacy, if that's what's more important to you, they've got a range called Featherlight, and it's basically the thinnest condom in their latex range, and it provides the same level of protection, but it's also shaped to be easier to put on and provide a better, sleeker fit and feel during sex, which is important to some people. And yes,
exploration.
Yes.
This is for excitement and fun experience in sex. So they have got a selection of 3 fun fruit flavors: banana, strawberry, and orange. And these flavors bring loads of fun, and they also add an added dash of extra excitement into the sex.
And you can also ensure maximum stimulation for you and your partner with their Pleasure Me range. It has a specially designed shape with uniquely positioned ribs and dots, which gives extra intensity for you and your partner. And everybody is a winner with the ultimate condom. It's called Pleasure Me. Remember that? And finally, if performance is your concern, if you're looking to ensure that you enhance your performance, there's something called the Durex Performer, and that range basically helps to delay climax and prolong the excitement. So it's the secret to longer lasting sex. It contains a special lube called benzocaine, and it's inside the condom, which helps the man to control climax and prolong excitement, which means long lasting sex. What was that?
This was this, as you were saying, I was thinking, me love you long time. Anyways,
we just want to say this: whatever your kink is, whatever your fantasy is, make sure you talk to your partner. Make sure you start gently. Make sure you respect boundaries. Explore safely. Right?
Yep. And also remember that curiosity does not make you bad. It doesn't make you wayward. I hate that word,
wayward.
Also remember that silence just makes you frustrated. All right, so thank you so much for watching this episode. Remember this, say it with your chest. It's brought to you. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. Brought to you by Durex. Make sure you watch the next episode. I need to go.
On seriousness.
Bye.